I am excited to be joined by Senator Nina Turner, who was an Ohio state senator from 2008 to 2014. Senator Turner describes herself on Twitter as a wife, mother, sister, host of Hello Somebody podcast, which I am a proud supporter of, a professor. Senator Turner is currently running for U.S. House in Ohio's 11th district. Senator Turner, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, Dixon, it's so good to be here with you and Rebecca this morning, and DJ just lighting it up. I mean, I need to start my morning with like it or not.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Senator Turner. I appreciate you.
It is, and it's a joy to have you here with us to experience this. Listen, we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot over the years with all of your work for the progressive movement. You really stepped out and quite honestly took it on the chin on behalf of progressive values, particularly progressive values that intersect with the Black community. Could you just tell us about not only your race, but particularly the challenges that you're having in your race as a Black progressive and unapologetically Black and unapologetically progressive?
Yeah, thank you for that, Dixon. And I do appreciate our conversations over the years. I mean, you are such a champion in the independent media space, which we really need, and other brothers and sisters. So I'm glad to see you and Rebecca and DJ just stepping up and stepping out in new ways to keep people informed. It's very hard. It's hard when you go against the grain. And we know this. We know this from a historic perspective when you're fighting against the status quo. And it is especially hard when you are a Black woman doing it, because people don't necessarily, the system itself doesn't respect our agency. The culture does not respect the agency of Black women. That's another show for another time. But I am glad to be following in the tradition as we move from Black History Month to Women's History Month, baby. I'm glad to be in the tradition of women like Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, unbought and unbossed. So if people want to know what kind of Democrat Sister Turner is, check them notes right there. Clear my throat. I am a Shirley Chisholm, Congresswoman, the Honorable Shirley Chisholm, Democrat, unbought and unbossed. I am a sharecropping, standing up for voters, forming a new freedom, Democratic Freedom Party in Mississippi with my poor white sisters and brothers type of Democrat, Fannie Lou Hamer type of Democrat, where you guys remember that President Johnson, he was so afraid of that. He was about to he called a press conference to try to stop her message from getting out. Yeah. But all he did was to help it spread even more, baby. That's the kind of Democrat I am. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a little FDR for my other folks. Little President FDR, we know that the New Deal was not perfect, but what I will say about it is it gave us a foundation. And I loved it when he told the status quo of his day, I welcome your hatred, because we're going to step up. And that's what I'm doing. And so, yeah, they're going to come at me. They already are coming at me, forming, I got messages and yeah, they're going to come at me like worse than if I was a Republican, because that is what the status quo will do. I want people to know that I am the underdog in this race. They need to understand that. And so progressives, we got to get in here, show up and show out for this race, because not only am I running to serve the people of my district, this district where I was born and raised, the 11th congressional district in the great state of Ohio, portions of greater Cleveland and greater Akron. But by extension, as we know, anybody that's elected to the Congress, whether it's the House of Representatives or the Senate, every move that we make impacts the entire United States of America, baby. I am running for justice. I am running on an opportunity agenda.
Clip it all, because that's the campaign right there. Hey, look, Dwayne, producers, clip it all, because we need that.
Oh my goodness. You could just talk. Just say something. No, for a serious.
Just listening to her talk is like, we don't even need to ask her questions. It's just like, girl, preach. Give us the word, because you said a lot. You said a lot.
But the one thing I would like, and I don't want to double down on the negative side of the ledger, right?
Sure.
But I remember when they kept you out of the 2016. They locked you out of the 2016 DNC. I remember when you were blacklisted, right? And meanwhile, now other folks who fought for the same things, other people with a different melanin count fought for the same thing that you fought for, but they were not kept out the way that you were kept out. You were individually targeted on so many different levels that were palpable and real. And so what is it about being a Black unapologetic progressive that triggers the Democratic establishment in a way that it's like all hands on deck to stop this Black woman?
Oh my God, Dixon, that is inquiring minds want to know. What I will say that is wrapped in the DNA of this nation, whether people want to admit it or not, and we need some real truth and reconciliation, baby, in this country on multiple levels. That's political, that's social, that's economic, it's environmental, it's racial, it's there. And so, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Minister Malcolm X warned us of what we're dealing with in this country. So did Congresswoman Barbara, I always quote Congresswoman Barbara Jordan too. What the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that's really what I'm fighting for. You don't have to agree on how to get there. But when somebody is fighting for health care, because we have almost 100 million people in this country who are either underinsured and uninsured. I mean, just with the unemployment rates alone, 12 million folks lost their health insurance because it's commodified and attached to a job. You might disagree on how to get there, but you want to attack me for that? I'm standing up saying that we debt. Oh, Lord Jesus. Yeah, we need to cancel student debt. We need to cancel student debt. And not only will student debt help all of our brothers and sisters, no matter how they identify, it will especially help the Black community. And let me go and drill down into that a little deeper. It will help the sisters. Black women carry the largest amount of student debt in the United States of America. So if you want to get closer to reparations, baby, let's just go on and start by canceling student debt and stop talking about, I'm going to do $10,000 here, maybe $50,000 here. Oh, no, but you went to a private college. No, let's just cancel it all. We don't hear that kind of foolishness when it comes to giving $1 trillion worth of tax breaks to the ultra wealthy in this country. But when it comes time to put a down payment on Main Street, somebody, then we got all of the excuses in the world. So Dixon and Rebecca, to answer your question, I don't know why they come at a sister like that, other than to say that even people who are supposed to be on our side have those tendencies. We all have to deconstruct our construction. I'm not saying every time you disagree with a Black person is racist, but all I'm saying is that there are some implicit and explicit biases. There are some things that people react to, and all of us, because we've all been socialized in a nation that says that Black lives don't really matter. And it's not just what is happening in the criminal justice system. It is happening because how many Black women have been elected governors in the United States of America? Hello, somebody. How many Black men have been elected governors in the state in this country? Hello, somebody. How many Black presidents? On and on and on. CEOs of companies, environmental racism, you name it. It is just weaved into all of the system. And so when Black people like myself and like yourselves dare to have some agency, folks who are supposed to be on our side try to smack us down. People need to check themselves, as the rapper said, before they wreck themselves. And many of you have seen me debate on TV. Oftentimes, I'll never forget, this woman had the nerve to tell me on national TV, this white lady, y'all go on and check the receipts. I'm having a moment. Said to me, I didn't have a right. I had no authority, no standing, I think she said, to quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Those are just examples. Oh yeah, on national TV, yes, she did. Right on CNN.
I missed that one.
She did. No, you gotta. Okay. So all of these little, these are triggering. It multiplied. All I can say is that the Black codes are in full effect in the 21st century, and people might want to act like they are not, but they are. And Black people are suffering disproportionately. And when you wrap that around others, it's a caste and class situation. So Dixon, I don't know. I mean, that was just a long way for me to say, I don't know why they come at your sister.
Yeah, look, and it was good. You said a lot. Now, one thing I will say, Senator Turner, when it comes to Black women, because I know, that is another story for another day, but I still want to touch on that with you. As a Black woman in this space who is running on the spirits of our ancestors of Fannie Lou Hamer and Shirley Chisholm. And that's a big deal because you've been locked out of things and talked down to and tried to be blackballed. What keeps you still what keeps you still running and wanting to run? Because when you get into spaces like in these new spaces, and these white women are telling you have no right to quote Dr. Martin Luther King, because that's the Martin Luther King that they created in their heads, right? And they feel like they have the audacity to tell you that. What lets you keep going, especially as a Black woman in these spaces, because that is something enough to tear you down.
It is. And thank you for that question, Rebecca. And I do want to recommend a book. Can I pause and recommend a book, The Radical King, written by the one and only Dr. Cornel West. And also people should follow Dr. Bernice King. She sets it straight on Twitter, baby. She lays it out for folks if they really listening about what her mother and her father stood for. Yeah, but you're right. That is the king that they created. What keeps me going is the spirit of our ancestors. What keeps me going are people like my grandmother, who is not as famous as a Fannie Lou Hamer, but for me was my everything. Third grade education, born in 1915, had what we call mother wit. And she would always say to me, baby, you need to be the best. And if you can't be the best, be next to the best, be so close to the best, nobody could tell the difference. She did not let the fact that she was robbed. And what do I mean by that? A Black woman born in 1915, dare I say more, she was robbed, but she had a kind of pride and pushed her 7 grandchildren to try to have more than what she was able to have because she was born. You know, James Baldwin has a quote, you know, you were born, basically you treated the way you treated because you were born where you were born for no other reason. I ain't quoting it verbatim, but it's in The Fire Next Time, his book, because you were Black. And so we have to deal with white supremacy. We have to deal with systemic racism. We have to deal with anti-Blackness. We got to deal with anti-Semitism. We got to deal with homophobia. It's a whole bunch of stuff that we have to deal with in these United States of America. But make no mistake, the foundation of all of those isms is anti-Blackness and what was done to our indigenous sisters and brothers. And until we have some truth and reconciliation in these United States of America, we're going to have a repeat. We're going to have to repeat the lesson over and over again. January 6th was just a manifestation of unfinished business in this country. So I'm running, you know, and then Sister Rebecca, what I am a praying woman. God knows I pray, I meditate. You know, I am a preacher's kid. And those are the kinds of things that I lean on in my moments of pain and feeling very overwhelmed. Because again, I'm fighting for justice. It doesn't make me perfect. It doesn't make me infallible. But to have people come at me the way that they do, it's not enough just to disagree with my position. You want to just all out destroy me or destroy our movement. And that's wrong.
That's the thing that gets me in this space, Sister Turner.
It be your own people.
It be your own people. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, but especially in this regard, like two different things. First and foremost, like we all three of us, all four of us on this on these screens here, we all are people of faith, and if not for our faith, we probably would have tore this place up a long time ago, right? So they better be glad we got the opiate for the masses, because otherwise they wouldn't have a country standing, because they don't deserve one standing. But that's just me. Don't attribute anything that I say it from this point forward to Senator Turner. That's just me being me.
Our views, that like it or not, are our own.
That said, though, it blows me away that it's not good enough for them to try to beat us in the marketplace of ideas. They literally try. And when I say they, you could fill in the blank. White supremacists, Republicans, conservatives, Democrats who disagree with our politics, even more so, in a very insidious fashion, attempt to completely destroy us. And it does become, it becomes disheartening when you realize that we're out here, like you said, you're just out here fighting for justice. You're out here fighting for what you believe is right. And while you may not get it right all the time, you're fighting for the right thing. But we're going up against a system that is completely antithetical to justice. So how then, when you get into office, how then are you going to continuously fight from within a machine that is designed to not give us justice? What's your strategy when you get in there?
Yeah, well, thank God I've been on the battlefield already. You know, I served as a Cleveland City Councilwoman. I served as a state senator in Ohio, where my Republican sisters and brothers, just by way of example, had a super majority, but I was there standing up nevertheless. And I'm going to do the same thing if I am so blessed when I get to Congress. It is a beautiful thing, though, for progressives, as we are laying out the truth, the whole truth. Maybe we ain't got to nothing but the truth, because they can't handle all of that this morning. But we laying some truths out there. I'm really proud of what this progressive movement has done, despite how the neoliberals try to destroy. I mean, anyway, I am proud of what the progressives are doing. I mean, you have people like Congresswoman Jayapal, hold it down. Congressman Ro Khanna coming out being very clear. How y'all gonna let a non-elected parliamentarian tell y'all what to do, basically, Senate? You know what I mean? Oh my God. I mean, they are holding it down. Congresswoman Cori Bush, Bowman, Jones, Presley. I mean, you name it. Oh my, baby, just tick it off. We do have an awesome opportunity because we have more progressives in that Congress in the 21st century in a concentrated way than we have had in a long time. And I firmly believe that if we banty together, baby, we're going to move some mountains in that. We're going to move some mountains in that Congress, baby. They're going to know that the Progressive Caucus is in full effect. And dare I say, can you visualize the Progressive Caucus and the Black Caucus coming together on a justice journey? Mind blown.
They might have to say COINTELPRO
right
after us again.
and it's interesting that you say that too, because it's like you're talking about uniting in these spaces with us, you know, with people who like us and are for us and things like that. The work can be great. The work can be amazing. But when we talk about and it's not like we want the divide between neoliberals and progressives and things like that. Like we may not all agree on how to get there, but we're trying to get there. So what happens is, and they don't understand that in these moments, that it's very important not to take the bait from the other side, because that's what's feeding these other people. That makes it look like progressives are being overly radical. They're saying the most, they're doing the most. We have the audacity to attack or hold our presidents accountable. But when it doesn't matter who the messenger is. You, Miss Senator Nina Turner, who has an amazing voice, and they know that you are about that life. When you open your mouth, they're like, "Oh no, she's speaking against such and such. Oh, she's a target. She ain't for us." They tried to put out that narrative, and they don't understand they're doing the same thing that that these Republicans been doing. Then this is what they want to cause is division. And you're speaking about unity in such an amazing way. That's all we're trying to do. Now we ain't gotta agree, right? We're gonna agree to disagree sometimes, but we have a bigger picture to focus on. And I think that picture, you have this blank canvas and you are creating something amazing. So I'm down.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I do want people to go to my website, ninaturner.com. And you know, we can not a false type of unity. Unity is a two-way street. And it's also an action word, like hope is an action word and love is an action word. And that's really all we are talking about here. Yeah, I am about that life. I am about talking about the people who are suffering in this country. So let's go on and unify around a $15 an hour minimum wage increase, shall we? Let's unify around canceling student debt, shall we? Let's unify around understanding that when you have a discretionary budget of $1.3 trillion and over 50% of that goes to the military industrial complex. Can we just unify around the fact that we could take some of them dollars, since we spend more money than the next 10 industrial nations combined on the military? We have what it takes to be safe. But however, safety also means domestic safety. That means education. That means healthcare. That means dealing with the evictions. That means dealing with changing people's material conditions and not just talking about it, but being about it. Listen, the Democrats, we got what we asked for from the voters. Now it's time for us to deliver. We said, give us the White House. They did. Check. We said, help us to hold the House of Representatives. Check. They did. We said, oh my God, help us win Georgia, baby. And you're going to get that $2,000 check. And then here we are in March, and they still ain't got the $2,000 checks. So let's unify. We can be unified. Let's unify on changing the material conditions of people. And for the next 2 years, Democrats, let's go on and do this thing on behalf of people. That's what we're going to unify. So I can work with anybody. I want people to know this. I feel this in my bones because my proximity to pain is real. I have been a part of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class. And baby, I will never forget where I've come from. So my proximity to pain is intact. And so I liken this to people being in the middle of the ocean, millions of them saying, save me, I'm drowning. And instead of saving them, you say, I'll be back, we got to go on recess. Instead of saving them, you say the parliamentarians said we can't put $15 an hour, a minimum wage increase, which is the compromise amount, because if the minimum wage had kept up with productivity, baby, it'd be closer to $25 an hour than it is now. Telling people to wait. Why do the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in this country have to wait all the time? It is time out for wait. So people are drowning. They're losing their lives and their livelihoods. They are making a choice between, and even when they get that little check, somebody going to be knocking on the door, the electric company, the gas company, the landlord on the door saying, I need my money. It's something wrong. It's something immoral about this predatory capitalism and what is happening. And Democrats have an awesome opportunity and a responsibility to show whose side they really on. So I am running to continue my ministry of service to the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class. And when the residents of my great state put me there, they are putting me there to stand up on their behalf. And again, because they're trying to paint as I can work with anybody. But working with does not mean acquiescing to. That I will.
Oh, come on, somebody. Hello, somebody. Working with.
I'm a free Black woman in
America. Does not mean acquiescing to.
That's the vibe. That's the truth.
Let me say a couple things here real quick. The website is ninaturner.com. Go to the website, sign up. Sign the mailing list. I'm looking at it right now. It's a fire website. And also people in the audience are wondering how they can support you. I know they can go there. Is there anywhere else people in the audience can go to support you or to help or to volunteer for what you're fighting for the 11th Congressional District in Ohio?
Well, that's it, Dixon. They can sign up to volunteer. We're doing text and phone banking. So just please, time, talent, and treasure. And then there are lots of grassroots organizations that are in support of this campaign that have come out. Democracy for America, MoveOn.org, Roots Action, Progressive Democrats of America, Our Revolution. I'm not sure if I said Our Revolution. I led that organization. Yeah, so you can join an organization, join a movement. And I do want, Rebecca, and I want Dixon, I do want people to know that this is so much bigger than me. This ain't about me. I'm just a tool. I'm just a conduit. All of us, titles are good, but purpose is better. And we need more purpose-driven people from all walks of life, conscious-minded people, whether you are Black or white or Hispanic or indigenous or Asian or just kind of like that swirl in between, no matter how you identify, gay or straight, baby, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Jew, Gentile, Muslim, baby. It don't matter. If you are a conscious-minded person, baby, we can do a great work together. I want folks to join on and help us go to Congress. I am going to take the people who are suffering the most with me as I walk the halls of Congress. We will and we can do great things together. Yeah. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my run. This is about a movement to change things for the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in these United States of America. And by extension, the world, because Dr. King already told us what happens to one directly happens to us all indirectly. We got to deal with what's happening in our nation. But we also have to understand that we are citizens of the world. And baby, if you didn't understand that pandemic, in the words of my grandma, show enough. Grandma would say, show enough. I know that pandemic, show enough. Then let you know that there's an intersectionality in all that we do, the air that we breathe. The food that we eat, the lives that we live, baby, are all intersectional. We need each other.
Absolutely. Well, if all hearts and minds are clear.
Look, I hope everybody was fed this morning. It's only 9:30. Show is over. Look, it's over. It's over.
It's all right.
I really hope everybody received. I hope everybody received and what Senator Turner was saying, because this is where we change. This is where we can definitely, things can start being different. The things that we're asking for, we can see a new America. Literally, this is not impossible for us if we go by and follow these things. This is why we need leaders like her. Understand? I'm not just saying that to say that. I'm not trying to sell her. Did you just hear what she said? These are things that will benefit us. And on that note, my heart and mind is clear.
Sister Rebecca and Brother Dixon, can I just close on two things? And I appreciate you guys giving me the space and the bandwidth and for us to have sometimes the purge. I mean, we talked about the good and we're talking about some things that people might not want to touch upon and think about. We got to think about it all, the yin and the yang. But I do see that there's promise in the problem. And I run because, when Rebecca, when you ask me, I mean, our ancestors and even people who are living right here today, it ain't even just about our ancestors. It's about elders that are living today that can tell a different story about what they had to endure. I'm running for the past. I'm running for the present. And baby, I am running for the future. But there are two quotes that bookend our campaign. And when I say our, I mean this progressive movement, because this is our campaign. One is what Congresswoman Barbara Jordan said. What the people want is very simple. This ain't complicated. They want an America as good as its promise. That's why I run. Medicare for all, canceling student debt, reforming the criminal justice system. Not just what's happening in the streets from law enforcement agencies, but it's in the courtrooms, baby. It's the prosecutors we elect. It is all of that. It's the prison industrial complex. All of that. All of that matters. It's the environment. It's all of that. So what the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. And the other book into it does come from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I don't have this one memorized, but I just want to share this with your viewers. And I'm asking people to listen to this with their heart. He said the following: power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. Baby, this is power and love together. And that is why I am running, to use those two forces in this universe to stand up against anything that is unjust. That's it. And that's all.
Listen, Senator Nina Turner, everybody, Senator Nina Turner for Congress. Make sure that you visit ninaturner.com. Am I right? ninaturner.com.